Welcome back, minors. My name is Tracy Kriegel. I'm a counselor here at Student Wellbeing.
And my name's Amber Johnston, and I'm also a counselor at Student Wellbeing, and it's time for your morning cup of joe.
So, Amber, have you ever been asked the question, seeing is believing?
I've heard that phrase before. It's I think it's pretty common.
It is. Well, today we're going to talk about the movie Avatar: Way of the Water. I just recently went to the movies and watched the show, which, by the way, was phenomenal. If you saw the first Avatar, you're going to love number 2. And what I want to hone in on today is the part of the movie about the Tulkuns.
What's a Tulkun?
I am so glad that you asked, Amber. So I'm sure all of you guys out there are going, a Tulkun? So they're an extremely large whale-like species. And in the movie, Medicania, which are the water people, consider them as their soul siblings. So I may be totally botching that name, but Medicania. These are the people that live there, but they're the water people. So if you haven't seen Avatar 2, and you've only seen number 1, this may sound kind of Greek to you. So I want to bring you up to speed, okay? So in Avatar 1, the sky people, which, are us, the earth people, come to Pandora to colonize the native people of the planet, which have the intent to mine Onoptomium. Can you say that?
They came there to mine. They were wearing those big suits. And they were in the big mech suits and stuff. Am I thinking of the right thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know whatever the name of it is, but I'm sure all of you students majoring in the College of Engineering and Computing are out there snickering right now, knowing that what is it? How you say it? Can you say it?
I have no idea.
Onoptonium is not a real mineral. So look that up. It's Onobtanium. You're all snickering at me right now because I can't even pronounce it. So anyways, back to the movie. So the sky people's efforts to mine the mineral threatened the existence of the local tribe, the Na'vi. So as you know, they're the blue people, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were really
the giant
tall,
blue people
with the tails, right?
Yeah. Well, didn't they have some kind of thing? Was it on their tail or was it on their hair that they plugged into the tree?
It was on their tail. So there's kind of it looked like a lion's tail, just like that kind of little
they plugged like a plug-in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they were threatening their existence, basically. So they were the human species that were on Pandora, which was basically, it was like this, a moon, basically. But the sky people, they wanted to inhabit Pandora because Earth really wasn't a great place to live much anymore. So they were exploring Pandora, but to explore Pandora, they couldn't go there, because they couldn't breathe. So to do that, they had to go as a humanoid species, and so they had to do it as a genetically altered avatar.
Weren't they projected into the minds of they were in a little pod on the ship, and then they were projected into the mind of this avatar, and then the avatar ran around and did all this stuff, and then and then in the end he became his mind got in the avatar permanently.
Yeah, so that was Jake Sully.
Yeah.
So everybody remembers Jake Sully. So he was the guy that ended up staying on Pandora.
Right.
So if you connected his little thingy in, and he talked to the tree souls, is what they called them. So I don't know. It's movies, right?
At least 10 years since I've seen the movie. It's been a very long time.
That was Avatar 1, which made buku billions of dollars.
It was super popular when it came out.
Yeah. So second to Gone with the Wind. Most people are like, what? What's that? So, a major big big shows.
Yeah,
so
it beat out Titanic, didn't it?
Beat out Titanic.
Titanic was the number one before it, and then it whooped out Titanic and kind of took the second spot.
Yeah, so it was a huge, very popular, major grossing movie. So now we're on to the exciting stuff. Avatar number 2. So pretty much just hit the movie theaters not too long ago. So pretty new, exciting, fresh stuff. So let's go back to the Tolkiens.
Are we going to have spoilers?
No. I'm going to leave cliffhangers, so I will not tell you what happens in this movie.
Okay.
All this is references, just to kind of get your mind thinking about seeing is believing. So
overriding themes.
Right, overriding themes, just making you think.
Perfect.
Yes, so I don't want to spoil the movie for any of you. So, okay. So at the beginning of the movie, everything is peaceful. You know, you're on Pandora. You can see Jake Sully and his wife.
Navi, right?
Nitri.
Okay.
So they're all hanging out in the trees, you know, flying around in the trees, you know, having all their great lovey time. And so, but do you think it's going to be peaceful for long?
No, because then there wouldn't be a movie.
There wouldn't be a movie, right, exactly. So just for a hot minute, it was all nice and calm, but as you can see, things turned bad quickly. So, guess who returns? The Sky People. You know, they were still there, but what were they doing? They were mining, you know, and so all you engineers out there, you're thinking, woo, minerals. So, but the Sky People were back. And they were coming because they want people on Earth to live on Pandora. And Pandora's a beautiful place. But
I want to live on Pandora.
I know, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But Jake Sully and Nitri were all hanging out in the trees. And, well, guess what? They're back, and they want to take out the tree people because the tree people are in the way. And you remember in Avatar 1, that big, beautiful tree that they kept trying to take out? Well, it's still in their way. Because they're coming looking for this, whatever that mineral was that I can't pronounce.
Wasn't it sacred?
Unobtainium. Yeah, unobtainium, that's what it is. Yeah. It was sacred. It was a sacred tree, the tree souls.
Yes.
So, okay, I got it. Unobtainium. Anyway, so the Sky People will return with vengeance, but the Miles guy, whatever his name was, he, anyways, wanted to take out Jake Sully and his family. So, but Jake now has 2 sons and 2 daughters. And so here we are. Jake has decided he's not staying in the trees and he's leaving. So he's left the trees and he is going to seek refuge in the islands. And oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Like, you're thinking gorgeous out in Hawaii and the islands. Oh yeah, Pandora has it all going, people. So they have left the trees and now they have sought refuge with the water people, which is the Madkenya tribe. So I'm not going to do any spoiling, I promise you. So I'm going to leave that to all you people. I'll leave the majority of the media people out. So you can go check it out for yourself. So go get you some candy, go chillaxing in those big fluffy recliners and kick back, okay?
Oh, recliners?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard they got the recliners.
Have you not been to the recliners?
Not recently.
Oh my gosh, you got to go get in the recliner.
Oh,
you can eat in the seat and figure out how you want the seat adjusted. Take your big fluffy blanket. Yep. Oh yeah, exactly. Okay.
Oh, that sounds comfy.
It is. Okay, so here's the good part. Jake's youngest son was Loki, and he was kind of the rebel, and we can kind of call him the black sheep of the family. And so he had a hard time listening to Jake, and so he, kind of wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. He would always operate just a few inches outside the family rules. And so it was hard for him to leave the trees and integrate into the waterways world, which, understandable. It's hard to leave the nest of our own homes and operate other places, right?
Right,
exactly. So getting to know all the other kids and their traditions and learning to swim in the sea, which was hilarious because when they came to the Makiana tribe, they were like, they're weird looking because their tails are tiny.
They didn't have a big long tail?
No, they had what looked like it looked like a tadpole tail, but it was long. It's so funny looking, but they made fun of them because they had a little round tail, and the Makiana tribe had like the long, like a fin tail, like a fish. Oh. So they could swim through the water, and get more power through the water. All right, so he had a hard time acclimating, and of course he never wanted to listen to Dad, so hard time acclimating. So one day, Loke went along with the challenge because he was with the other tribe leaders' kids, and then they went out beyond the reef, and they went out and went beyond the boundaries and further out into the sea, and the older kids left him. They were playing a trick on him. And when you're out in the trees running around, there's not that danger because you're jumping tree to tree. But when you're out in the sea and somebody leaves you, you're in the water.
You can drown.
You could drown. Well, unfortunately for Loki, whatever his name is, he had nothing. And what ended up happening was this big sea creature started chasing him through the water. And it was pretty intense, I have to tell you. So I was like, for me, I was like on the edge of my seat because, when pretty intense scenes in the movie start happening, he was like, this big sea creature was like pounding him underneath the water, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's gonna get killed. And I'm like, nobody's gonna know he's dying. And I'm like, the sea creature is like under the water, like chasing him and chasing him and chasing him. And I'm like, he's gonna die. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So all of a sudden, guess what happens? Remember that first word, what I asked you a Tolkien was?
Yeah.
This big sea creature, the Tolkien, attacks the other sea creature and kills him.
Okay.
So Loki was saved.
Awesome.
And so the Tolkien comes in and rescues him. And so Loki's like, what do I do? And of course, Loki goes up and he starts talking to this Tolkien because, and on Pandora, the animals can talk to the humans, and so they're like conversing, animals conversing, with him, and so they're instantly bonded because he rescued him, he saved him. Have you ever been in that similar situation? Like you bonded with somebody instantly?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes you just meet somebody and it's just like you have this instant connection with them.
Yeah, you're like instant friends. So, quickly Loki realized that Payakan, what was his name? The Tolkien's name was Payakan. Payakan was hurt, and he had half of his upper fin was missing.
Ow!
And then he had extremely large hook in his other upper fin.
Aww.
So he knew he had to help him find pain relief.
Does Maui get him?
Right? So he knew something was wrong. Somewhere along the line, something had gone wrong. So he found a way. He couldn't fix the upper fin because it had been broke off. But it was like a big anchor was in his upper fin. So he extracted, he had to go underneath and unscrew the bottom part of the anchor, and on the top he pulled the big anchor out. And so they instantly became friends. So what he found out was, that he relieved his pain, and they became those great friends. But what he found out was that Payakan had been outcast from the Tolkien tribe. And so when these Tolkiens, they moved in packs. And so it's kind of like sea otters and dolphins. When you think about the ocean, animals in the ocean kind of move in packs.
Yeah.
And so Tolkiens are the same way. They move in packs. I don't know, pods, packs, whatever, under the oceans. So they moved all together. But Tolkiens would not allow Payakan to stay with him. He was ostracized from the group, ostracized from the tribe, so he was not allowed to swim with him. And so Loki was really, upset because he didn't know what to do to help him.
Right.
He was just and Payakan was kind of reluctant to talk to him about it. And you could see that there was just this reluctance, and so Loki would kind of hey, what's going on? Why are you over here by yourself all the time? Why won't they let him swim with you? And so finally, Payakan allowed him to see what was going on. And so not everything is always what you see. So not everything, it's that back to that whole saying of seeing is what you believe theory. And so when Payakan was younger, there was a situation that happened. And so I'm not going to be the spoiler, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but Loki was able to see what Payakan had been through. And so because he was so lonely and so ostracized, and the tribe wouldn't let him back in, there was this like bond between him, and Payakan opened up to him. So if people don't see what happened, in our lives, they make a judgment. And that's based on their own rules, it's based on what they see and what they believed would happen. And so It's very similar to this situation. Payakan's tribe seen a situation. They believed what had happened.
It's formed off of what their prior experiences are. Everything that they experienced up until that moment made them interpret that situation in a way that was consistent with the experiences and the knowledge that they had at the time.
Yeah. So you're understanding what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, people operate off of their own understandings.
Yes.
And so exactly what's happening here. So Tolkien's, they're large, intimidating sea creatures. So I want to give you that bit of that backstory. They're large, intimidating sea creatures, but they're peaceful species. They had been violent in the past, but they had saw the bloodshed, they had saw all the violence they'd had, but they made a pact amongst themselves that after years of bloodshed and violence, that they would no longer act this way. But one day, Payakan indulged in violence, and the tribe of the Tolkiens didn't know the reason and understand the whys.
Right.
They only knew he committed an act of violence, so they outcast him to a life of loneliness and shame. He was left to swim in the sea by himself with no friends and no one to help him, no one to talk to, no one to care for him, until he met Loki. He saw Loki was in trouble and was willing to help him. But this was Payakan's nature, which was honestly the Tolkien's way. But they had closed their eyes to Payakan because all they saw was his behavior, not the reason behind what he did. Payakan established this relationship with Loki after he rescued him, and Loki proved he could be trusted, and he remained constant, reliable, and trustworthy.
Right.
Loki listened to Payakan. He showed him empathy and compassion. He cared. He needed his tribe, but was able to find his new friend. He finally got to a point where, and like I said earlier, he finally got to the point where he opened up and shared his story, and Loki was able to see the whole truth, and as to why he was outcast from the tribe. So I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to give you that cliffhanger because I don't want to spoil this whole thing for you. But I do want to tell you this. Payakan had a profound reason for his reaction that the other tribe members would have, if they were in his place, I believe in that same situation, they would have reacted the same way. Mm-hmm. I think that's the moral of the story. Not everything is the way that we see it.
And you would be surprised how many different situations that we are in, that if we went into the same situation as somebody else with the same points of view and the same back experience and the same everything, and we're placed in the exact same situation, how often it would change our reactions to be more similar to those of other people that we may not initially understand.
Right, exactly. So we can paint our picture in many different ways, but our picture is our picture to paint in the safety of our knowledge. Many times in society, people are ostracized for their thoughts and their beliefs, but we're all human beings with emotions and thoughts. In therapy, there's a type of therapy that's called narrative therapy. That's an approach to treatment So, Amber, are you familiar with narrative therapy?
Narrative therapy is the primary therapy I use.
Okay.
It's I love using narrative therapy, and I like doing the narratives, and I like taking the narratives and having my clients tell the same story from the other person's point of view, or twisting it around and trying to find alternative explanations. And just narrative therapy, I think, is a wonderful tool. It's one of my favorites.
It is. It's a great approach to learning about yourself. So there's 5 techniques that narrative therapists use. First, they allow the client to tell their own story to find new meaning to old experiences.
Yes.
The second part of technique is the externalization technique. Using externalizations, they help you separate yourself from problems.
I do that all the time. And so what externalization looks like, for those of you who aren't familiar, is that you may come in here, and let's say you come in for anxiety. I might have you name your anxiety and picture it. So I like to use a lot of visualizations. I'll have you picture what it looks like, and then we'll name it. And then now the anxiety is separated. And so when we have those automatic thoughts related to that anxiety, then we can address those as being separate.
Right, exactly. Excellent. And so another technique is called destructive technique. This technique involves breaking problems down into smaller, more specific problems, so they're easier to understand and address. So we just take it all and tear it all down. So another technique is unique outcome techniques. This technique helps you to see your story from a new and more positive perspective, to broaden your view and to see more of our own storylines, and one that doesn't focus on the more pervasive problem.
Yeah, I use that one all the time too.
Right. And the last piece that I want to bring out is the existentialism, the technique of using the belief that the world holds no inherent meaning, and that we all must make our own meaning in life.
Yeah,
it's excellent. I think narrative therapy is a great way to get at the core of seeing things in a different view or different lens.
Yes, and that's why I like it, is because it's about looking at things in various points of view, and for anybody that I've worked with before, you'll hear me talk about theme songs all the time, because we have these reoccurrent themes that happen in our lives, and these are automatic thoughts, and I like to liken it to a song, to a music, like an earworm. So if I hum the beginning lyrics of certain songs, you will have that song stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Well, our automatic thoughts are the same way. So if I start out, if something triggers that thought, as soon as I have those, we'll call it the first few notes, those first few experiences that remind me of that experience, of that automatic thought stream, once it starts, guess what's circulating over and over and over in my head? What narrative therapy says is okay, so we've got these theme songs happening here. Let's rewrite it from a different point of view. Let's say your theme song is that I'm worthless. Let's say that's your theme song. Automatically something bad happens. Your mind automatically jumps to, I'm worthless, I can't do anything right. Okay, well, let's toil this from another point of view. What would you say that your best friend says that you do right? And then we go from there. And that's a very vague, loose example, but
no, it's good. It's a good example, because we look at things from a different perspective. We put it on a different lens, and I think that's that piece. It's just like this thing is, don't believe everything you see. It's not always what it looks like. It's not always what it appears, and that comes back to this movie. Not everything is what it appears,
Yes.
It's seeing is believing. And so, I want to encourage you today, if you're struggling at looking at a situation and it's overwhelming you and causing you to feel stressed or overwhelmed, or holding you back from accomplishing an important task, if you're feeling anxious, or keeping you from a good night's sleep, or if you're unable to focus, seeking supportive services, we're here. There are so many services that you can reach out to. We've got counselors here at the Student Wellbeing. We're here Monday through Friday. We're here and available to talk with you. You can come in for a screening. You can call us. There's wellbeing coaches. here in student well-being, we have group therapies that we can offer to you. There's a lot of supportive services here on campus. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're not on campus, there are lots of services in the community or in your community as well. So we just encourage you, it doesn't have to be, the situation doesn't have to be as it appears. So there are people who are out there who can support you.
Well, and sometimes it doesn't have to be like if the thought of getting involved in therapy is overwhelming, right, and you have a particular issue that you just need to talk about. Some people come in and just process through an issue or an event, and it takes us maybe 1 or 2 sessions. We've processed through it and we come out the other side and we've got clarity.
Right.
And sometimes that's all we need. Right. But just and having and doing that can build skills. It can and can create skills that you use later in further arguments or discussions with people when you're having trouble seeing their points of view. Be like, oh, I learned in therapy how to twist this around and look at it from their point of view. Oh, that's what they're probably meaning in this moment. Yeah. So it's a good thing, and like I said, it doesn't mean that you're having to commit to like being in therapy forevermore. Some people just come in and it's a couple sessions.
Right, exactly. Very good. So don't let situations keep you locked in the dark and lonely in a lonely world like Pyakak was. Rewrite your story today, as freedom awaits on the other side of that door. So thank you all, minors, for letting us come into your world today. And enjoy your day, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
For more information about mental health and wellness, contact Student Wellbeing at 204 Norwood Hall. And you can also give us a call at 573-341-4211.
The song Happy Days is brought to us by music from www.free-stock-music.com. You can also add and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook using our handle @S&T Wellbeing.